Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being patient. So we are going to get started with our ghost stories. We've waited, so sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, crisps, whatever it may be, your snacks, maybe your bowl of fruit. These stories are fictional, so they're not about anyone specific or anything like that. If you are sitting back listening, if you can just spam the chat with me ghosts. If you are enjoying it, and share down below, that would be great, my darlings. Okay, so these stories are obviously, if you enjoy ghost stories, these stories will be for you. So please enjoy and give me feedback if you can, and I'm going to post this on YouTube, so if you are listening over in YouTube, hi, and thank you for listening to the next wee bit with me, Justy. So the first story we're going to talk about, Emma had just scored a deal on her latest smartphone. It was sleek, powerful, and loaded with features she'd never use, but the price was too good to pass up. She bought it from an online marketplace, and the seller was oddly eager to offload it. No returns, they had insisted, which Emma found strange, but whatever, it was half the price. As soon as she powered it on, something fell off. The wallpaper was blurry. A blurry image of a forest at night. The phone seemed to glitch occasionally, even though it was brand new. And there was one app she couldn't delete, no matter how hard she tried. Echo. The app didn't look like much. A black icon with a faint white ring in the centre. When Emma tapped it, out of curiosity, her screen went blank for a moment before a single line of text appeared. Who do you want to talk to? Emma chuckled nervously and muttered to herself, creepy, probably some gimmick chat app. She closed it and didn't think much of it. That night, Emma was lying in bed scrolling through social media when she noticed her phone buzz. A notification popped up. You have a new Echo. Open the app to hear it. She frowned. She didn't remember giving the app permission to send notifications. Annoyed, she opened it. A voice played softly through the speaker. It garbled at first, but then the woman's voice became clear. Help me! Emma froze. What the? She quickly closed the app, tossed the phone on her nightstand, and tried to sleep. But the voice echoed in her mind. Who was it? Was this some prank by the previous owner? The next day, the app sent another notification. This time, the message was chillingly specific. Emma, why didn't you help me? She dropped her coffee. Her hands trembled as she stared at the screen. She hadn't entered her name into the phone yet. How did it know? When she played the audio, the same voice came through, but now it sounded angry. You left me there alone. Why didn't you help me? Emma's heart raced. She didn't know this voice or what it was talking about. She tried uninstalling the app again, but it wouldn't budge. Over the next few days, the messages grew more frequent and more personal. The app started showing images, dark forests, blurry faces, and distorted photos of Emma herself. Some looked like they had been taken from inside her own apartment. The final straw came one night when Emma woke to find her phone on her pillow, the screen glowing. The Echo app was open, displaying a live feed of her bedroom In the corner of the frame was a shadowy figure standing by her closet. Emma screamed, grabbing the phone and shining her flashlight at the closet. It was empty. But the phone buzzed again. This time the notification said, "I'm closer than you think." Emma fled to the police, explaining everything. They dismissed her. Her claims as a tech glitch or a sick joke, but she insisted they investigate. An officer traced the phone serial back to the original owner, a young woman named Claire who had gone missing 6 months earlier. Her last known location, a hiking trail deep in the woods, the same forest and the phone's wallpaper. When the officers visited the trail, they found Claire's remains buried under a shallow layer of dirt. Next to her body was a phone. It was identical to Emma's. Emma threw her phone into the river, hoping to rid herself of the curse. For a few weeks she felt safe. She bought a cheap replacement and tried to move on, but one night she was scrolling on her new phone. It buzzed, a notification popped up. "You have a new Echo." Her blood ran cold. She didn't download the app. When she opened it, the screen was blank, then slowly text appeared, "It's your turn." Emma stared at the screen in disbelief. The words, "It's your turn," glowed faintly, sending chills down her spine. She tried turning off the phone, but it wouldn't respond. The screen stayed frozen on the text. The eerie silence in her apartment seemed to grow heavier. Suddenly the text disappeared, replaced a countdown. 10 minutes. 10 minutes for what? Panic set in as Emma frantically searched online for answers. She found a single forum thread about the Echo app. The original poster claimed it wasn't an app at all, but a gateway, a cursed piece of code created to trap souls. The last comment on the thread sent a fresh wave of terror through Emma. If the countdown starts, it's already too late. Run. Emma bolted from her apartment, clutching her phone despite her instinct to toss it. She couldn't leave it behind, not knowing what would happen. The timer ticked down as she drove aimlessly through the city, hoping to outrun whatever it was. 5 minutes. Her chest tightened as she realised she didn't have a plan. That's when the phone rang. The caller ID simply said unknown. Against her better judgment, she answered. At first there was only static. Then a familiar voice came through, garbled but unmistakable. It was Claire. "Emma, you can't escape it. None of us could." Emma's grip tightened on the steering wheel. "What do you want from me?" "You have to pass it on," Claire whispered. Her voice sounded broken, desperate. "If you don't, it will take you like it took me." "Pass it on," Emma shouted. "How?" But then the line went dead. The timer reached 1 minute. When the phone buzzed again, this time a video started playing automatically. It showed Emma sitting in her car. The video wasn't pre-recorded, it was live. In the reflection of the car's rearview mirror, she saw it. A figure was sitting in her back seat, its face obscured but its presence unmistakable. Emma screamed and slammed on the brakes. She scrambled out the car, leaving the phone behind. She ran into the nearest gas station, grasping for breath and clutching her chest. The clerk looked at her in concern. "Are you okay?" I need help," Emma stammered, but before she could explain, her phone buzzed again. She had left it in the car, but now it was sitting on the counter in front of her, screen glowing. The countdown had reached 0. The screen flashed and everything went dark. When Emma woke up, she was back in her apartment. At least it looked like her apartment. Something was off. The colours were muted. The air felt heavy. like she was underwater. Her phone on the table, the Echo app open. A single line of text appeared. Welcome to the other side. She stumbled to the window only to find there was nothing outside. No city lights, no streets, just an endless void. Her phone buzzed one last time. It was a notification. Find someone new. Emma realised the horrifying truth. She was trapped just like Claire. Her only way out was to pass the curse to someone else. A week later, a college student, Mark, was browsing an online marketplace. He found a listing for a sleek, brand new smartphone at an unbelievable price. The seller had no profile photo, just username E_1986. Mark grinned as he clicked buy now. As soon as the phone arrived, he powered it on. The wallpaper was blurry. Image of a forest night. What do you think of that? I can continue on, but so far, how are you liking it? Right, good. Just keep putting wee ghost emojis and share the chat, my darlings, right? So, Mark was thrilled with his purchase. The phone worked flawlessly and he bragged to his friends about scoring such a great deal. But by the second day he noticed something odd. The Echo app. At first Mark didn't care. The app seemed harmless enough, and he assumed it was just bloatwave. But late that night he was lying in bed and the app sent a notification. You have a new Echo. Open the app to hear it. Curious, Mark opened it. The screen turned black and static crackled through the speakers. Then came a faint voice, garbled and barely audible. Please, don't let it take me. Mark frowned, unnerved. He laughed it off nervously and closed the app. Weird glitch, he muttered. But the next morning, the phone buzzed again. You have a new Echo. Open the app to see it. This time a blurry video played. It showed a dark room, the walls scratched and stained. In the corner, a figure was huddled, rocking back and forth. Mark couldn't make out the face, but the figure whispered repeatedly. Why didn't you save me? Why didn't you save me? Mark couldn't shake the feeling that the video was real. He decided to contact the seller, but the profile was gone. The username E_1986 had vanished from the marketplace. That night, things escalated. The phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Notifications flooded in. It's coming for you. You have 48 hours. Run. Mark tried to reset the phone, but it wouldn't turn off. He even took it to the repair shop, but the technician handed it back with a confused look. The phone is not normal. The software doesn't match any systems I've seen. Desperate, Mark posted the Echo app online. To his surprise, someone replied almost instantly. The user named Claire's Echo wrote, "Destroy the phone, don't wait, get rid of it now." Mark tried to follow the advice. He smashed the phone with a hammer, but when he turned around, it was back on the table, perfectly intact, screen glowing. The countdown started. 48 hours. Over the next 2 days, the phone tormented Mark. Videos of daily life appeared on the Echo app, filmed from impossible angles. The apartment door slammed shut and locked itself whenever he tried to leave. Shadows flickered in his peripheral vision, and at night he could feel cold breath on his neck. The final night, the phone buzzed one last time. 1 minute. Open the app. Mark resisted, but the lights in the apartment flickered violently. Furniture toppled over and an unnatural growling sound filled the air. He had no choice. He opened the app. The video began to play. It showed his apartment, but not how it looked now. The walls were cracked, the furniture decayed, and a dark, humanoid figure stood in the corner. Its eyes were glowing. Then the screen switched to Mark's reflection. But it wasn't him anymore. His face was gone, his skin was grey, and his eyes empty black voids. The screen displayed one final message. Your time is up. Welcome. A month later, a young woman named Sarah was browsing online. She stumbled upon a listing for a brand new smartphone at an unbeatable price. The seller's name, M_W1986. As Sarah clicked by now, she felt a chill run down her spine, but she ignored it. It was probably nothing, or so she thought. This is the last and final part, guys, right? Sarah received a phone 2 days later, excited by the deal she snagged. Haven't we heard this before? She powered it on, immediately noticing the strange wallpaper of forest at night, blurry and apprehensive. She began setting it up, and she spotted the Echo app. Of course she did. Guess I'll delete this junk, she muttered, but the app wouldn't uninstall. Shrugging it off, she left it alone. That night the first notification came. You have a new Echo. Open the app to see it. Curiosity got the better of her and she tapped the app. You know this girl did. The screen went blank, then displayed an image of her own living room, and at the edge of the frame was a shadowy figure, barely visible. Sarah froze, her eyes darting to the empty living room. Nothing was there. The notifications became relentless over the next few days, growing increasingly personal. The app sent blurry videos of Sarah walking home, sitting in her kitchen, and even sleeping. Voices whispered from the phone at odd hours, repeating fragments of sentences you can't escape. It's your turn. Save me. Terrified, Sarah researched the Echo app, stumbled upon stories of others who had encountered it, Claire, Emma, and most recently Mark. The threads described the countdown, the haunting videos, and the final messages. It's your turn. But one detail stood out. One user claimed there was a way to break the curse. You must return the phone to where it began, the forest. With no better plan, Sarah decided to try. Armed with the cursed phone, a flashlight, and her courage, she drove to the forest in the phone's wallpaper. It matched photos she found of an old abandoned trail deep in the woods where Claire's body had been discovered. The countdown was 3 minutes when she arrived. The forest was eerily silent, the trees looming with dark sentinels. Sarah followed the trail until she reached a clearing dominated by a single gnarled tree. As soon as she approached the tree, the phone buzzed violently. The Echo app opened on its own, displaying a live feed of the clearing. In the video, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Claire. Her hollow eyes locked on Sarah. You have to finish it, Claire whispered. Her voice was layered with static, broken and distorted. What do you mean? Sarah said, her voice trembling. Claire's figure flickered, growing darker. Bury it here, end the cycle, or it will take you. Sarah didn't hesitate. She dug furiously at the base of the tree with her hands, dirt caking her fingers. The phone grew colder in her grip. Its screen flashing erratic images, her face, the forest, and the shadowy entity that haunted the app. With seconds to spare, she dropped the phone into the hole and covered it with dirt. As the final layer of soil fell, the buzzing stopped. The oppressive silence lifted, replaced by the natural sound of the forest, rustling leaves and distant crickets. For the first time in days, Sarah felt a sense of relief. Months passed. Sarah returned to her normal life, though she avoided anything that reminded her of that phone. The nightmares faded and she stopped looking over her shoulder. She even started using older basic phone, unwilling to trust modern technology. But one night, while scrolling through social media, her laptop, she saw a listing for a brand new smartphone. The photo was unmistakable. It was her phone, the cursed device she had buried. The seller's username S_A2023. As Sarah stared at the screen, her laptop flickered. A single notification popped up. You have a new echo. The cycle had never ended. It had just begun. The end. Thank you for listening to my wee ghost story. It was really appreciated. And there'll be more coming. Well, that is how it ends. It's just a never-ending cycle. They get a phone, they get trapped, they sell the phone, they get trapped. That's how it ends. I'm sorry. Right, my wee chickadees, I need to finish up. So I will love yous and leave yous. Told you it should have cost. This is too much of a cliffhanger. Ghostbusters, these are hilarious. Thank you so much for listening. I am gonna go, but I will see you tomorrow. Love yous loads. Oh, by the way, go over to YouTube, give us a follow, and you can catch us on Catch Up.